Brandon, how did that assignment from Professor Tube go for you last night?
Great, I got an A.
No way! I bet it's only because you're Asian. Everyone knows you guys are supposed to get A's because A's are for Asians. I bet your parents made you get an A. You always get A's on math or science assignments. I bet you got into UC Berkeley already, and you're only a soph.
Whoa there, fellas. I heard you arguing about grades, and I overheard you making some pretty big generalizations about Asian Americans. Anthony, do you recognize the stereotype that you're spreading?
No. What is it?
Brandon, would you like to tell him about it?
Well, Anthony, I've treated unfairly all my life in academic settings because everyone expects me to do well and succeed. Because of that, I got picked on by other minority groups at school.
And there's a name for that stereotype you're fighting, Brandon. It's called the model minority myth.
Model minority? But that sounds great.
You would think that is positive, but nothing could be further from the truth. Let me show you. Sit down, Socks. The model minority myth is a stereotype about Asian Americans that perpetuates the idea that they are more successful than other minority groups and serve as models for those other minority groups to live up to. If you look at this chart here, you can see that it appears that Asian Americans are outperforming whites in terms of educational attainment in all three categories: less than high school, college degree, and advanced degree. However, a different story develops when the Asian American community is disaggregated. As you can see in this new chart here, Socks, while some groups like Chinese, Japanese, and Indian show terrific educational attainment, other Southeast Asian immigrants like Cambodian, Laotian, and Vietnamese are struggling in school. By looking at Asian Americans as a single homogeneous group, we mistakenly miss the varying needs of different immigrant groups. This highlights an important reason why the model minority myth is still widely accepted, and the importance of disaggregating the heterogeneous Asian American community in research. And that's just how the model minority myth impacts education. Because of this stereotype, Asians are thought to experience no discrimination, have no need for mental health services, and be basically on par with whites in the United States.
Wow, I had no idea it was that bad.
The model minority myth even pervades issues of college admissions. Do you Socks know what affirmative action is?
No, Professor Tube Sock, what's that?
Here's a little history. Affirmative action was prefaced by Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination in employment based on one's race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The dictionary defines it as the practice of improving the education and job opportunities of members of groups that have not been treated fairly in the past because of their race, sex, etc. Affirmative action has been used in the university system to promote diversity.
Wow. So with affirmative action, everyone is equal.
Not so fast, Anthony. There are many differing opinions regarding affirmative action in the workplace and in the university system today. Here are Kelly and Marissa, my resident affirmative action experts. They can explain the pros and cons to you Socks.
Wow.
Affirmative action helps level the playing field for different minority groups that have faced discrimination in the past and present. This system increases diversity within the workplace and university system, which in turn creates a better exchange of ideas and interaction between people of different races, cultures, and backgrounds. However, affirmative action has been shown to disadvantage certain minority groups, such as Asian Americans. For example, some Asian Americans have higher educational attainment than the average U.S. citizen, and therefore Asian Americans don't need affirmative action because they are doing just as well or better than whites. Additionally, affirmative action would harm Asian American applicants to colleges that are overrepresented in the college population because they will have to outscore other minorities, which undermines the notion of a merit-based society. Hold on there, Marissa. Your argument is based on the fallacies of the model minority myth. You are generalizing about all Asian Americans and assuming that just because some of them have succeeded, that all of them are successful. This line of thinking is making the assumption that Asian Americans do not experience discrimination in the education system like other minorities. But that's just reverse discrimination against whites. We can't make up for what happened in the past with reverse discrimination against whites in the present. Here's a quote from Lyndon Johnson. "You do not take a person who, for years, has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bring him to the starting line of the race, and just say, 'You are free to compete with all the others,' and still justly believe that you have been completely fair. You're wrong.
Hey,
Hey, you're wrong. No, you're
Whoa,
wrong.
now, sock ladies. Let's keep it civil. I know this is a divisive topic, but we need to handle it with grace and dignity.
Ah!
I guess I'll have to intervene.
My eye!
Anthony, Brandon, let's talk about proactive solutions to the affirmative action problem.
Professor Cheapsock, we need to cut up the problem at its source. We need to eliminate the model minority myth. It seems to me that the inaccurate stereotypes of Asian Americans are inflaming some of the debate regarding affirmative action.
I concur. Perpetuating a generalization of all Asian Americans being almost as successful as whites ignores the pervasive nature of white privilege and ignores the discrimination Asian Americans face every day. I apologize for my earlier assumptions and flawed ways.
Aww. I see you reconciled your differences. Another thing to consider, Socks, is trying to find a middle ground between affirmative action and reverse discrimination.
One astute, ponderate Professor Cheapsock. Perhaps if the model minority myth is actually a myth, it may only make sense to include Asian Americans in affirmative action. However, the first step is certainly to destroy the myth that all Asians are a single homogeneous group that continuously outperforms other minority groups.
Certainly. Righto.
Jolly good.
Well, Socks, it seems you have given this pertinent issue some thought. And Anthony, I hope you now realize how your earlier statement about Brandon's grades was adding to the stereotype.
Do I ever?
And now you know that even positive stereotypes can be harmful, especially in relation to affirmative action.
Time for lunch, Socks. Off you go.
Thanks, Professor Cheapsock.
No problem. The more you know.